I want to welcome everybody this morning to the NLX Extra Mile podcast series. We've kicked off this podcast this week. It's very exciting. NLX is Network Lead Exchange. We are located here in the Venture X in Parsippany, New Jersey on 8 Campus Drive. And we are here with Mahender Gaurier, who is the owner of the Venture X, and he's also the owner of the NLX, which is Network Lead Exchange franchise, which is a phenomenal networking organization, which we'll talk about in another podcast. But Mahender, I want to thank you very much for coming in here and allowing me to interview you here on behalf of NLX. So I want to thank you, number one. And number two, why don't you tell everybody exactly what Venture X is and what you do at Venture X?
Thank you, Bruce. I really appreciate you doing this podcast. And I'm really very much grateful that you have taken up the presidentship of Network Lead Exchange for my Parsippany chapter. Um, so this is very exciting. This is my very first podcast, a formal kind of a thing for me. Have not done this before, so bear with me. So Venture X, like this thought had been going on within me for many years now. Like I would say about 7 or 8 years now. I had kept thinking there's something to do with office space, something very similar to what cloud does to compute and what Uber does uh, to ride and share and all that stuff. So I thought there is something for office too. And I'd been looking at this idea back and forth between my job. I'm an IT person, so in between jobs and all that stuff, I always wanted to do something more. And this idea kept coming back to me. And eventually, it turned out I once Googled and I found Venture X doing this very similar thing that I was thinking of in Naples, Florida. This was their very first site that they built out, and they started this process. And at that time, I think it was started by someone called Diamond Brothers. They were the very first ones that started this particular location. And again, United Franchise Group, I think they reached out to United Franchise Group to be able to franchise this concept. And I had a chance to go and visit them in their very initial stages. And I really liked everything that they were doing. So my they actually had whatever I was thinking, they had this all very well laid out, the entire process, everything that needs to be done. And so it was like you have this thought and there it is, you could create it. So that was the feeling I got when I visited. And eventually, and then it took me a few years after to actually have this built out and all that stuff. So it's a process to find the location, the right location, and all that stuff. I live in Montgomery. It's about 45 minutes from here, but I chose Parsippany just because I used to work in Florham Park in my previous avatar, and I like the area up here. And I was debating between Princeton, Florham Park, Parsippany, and we walked through all these buildings. And I walk into this building, and it was an immediate attraction. Like I liked the building, the space, and I thought it would be a great fit. And luckily, Mac Halley was the owner of this building at that time, and it took a little bit of time for them to get adjusted to this concept, but again, eventually they said yes. And even the and I'm located on the very first floor. When I walked into the building, the first floor was not available. It was the third or fourth floor that I checked out for this for my Venture X. And it turned out the first floor became vacant, and they immediately contacted me. They were interested in giving up this space rather than the space upstairs. So that's how I got lucky. And and Venture X are individually owned, and I'm an individual owner. And for me to take up this amount of space, no landlord would come and give it to me. I should be a large company or even a medium-sized company or would have existed. But I think having Venture X as my brand helped me with building the space, getting the space, and eventually being able to do this. So
So what, you made a comment, you've had it for a couple of years. That tells me that you opened just before the pandemic.
that's right. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So what did you do when you opened your doors and the pandemic came?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Like, yeah, it's like
As well, it's a good
it's
question, but it's not a good question.
that's right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a very good question because um, I got hit at the very beginning. Any person, they would have run the business for a few years or a few months, and that's when the reality hits or something happens, something bad or good happens. But me, from day one, it was totally bad. Like
Well,
I, we got this entire thing built out, and we are ready to get into business, and we started marketing and everything, and that's when COVID hit us, and it was all empty parking lots. I'd been staring at empty spaces for months, and every week I used to think next week it would go away, but it never went away for 2 years. So for 2 years, uh, we didn't have any kind of, like I would say, in terms of people taking up space, there were very few. And most of them were either taking up one person offices, and most of them were internal offices, no shade desks or dedicated desks that were being taken. And that was okay. And eventually we got this large law group that got interested in our space and they took up space. So that helped us a lot. And the law group is the Bianchi Law Group that took up space. They were uh, our very first customer, you could say that. And it was tough. It was really tough. I had to deal with the landlord. I have to work with the landlord. I have to work with everyone involved in terms of get just getting through this entire
I can only
thing. So,
imagine. I mean,
yeah,
I mean, you talk about something catastrophic right there.
right.
Opening a business and then having the world shut down
Yep,
is like no one would ever suggest that would ever happen.
that's right.
But look, if there's any good that comes out of this for you, what I can see is, first of all, the facility is absolutely beautiful here. I mean, you hit it right on the head when you said you walked in, and from the moment you walked in, you knew this was the location. Well, anybody that walks into this building actually knows this when they see what's here.
Right.
Okay, it's just a wow factor.
Yep.
It's absolutely a wow factor. That said, I think that the good that's come out of this for you, and correct me if I'm wrong, is, people that worked in corporate America, there's a lot of companies that they can work remotely now, but
Yeah.
people don't like to stay in their homes for long periods of time. So they have the ability to come here and rent an office from you for either a day, a couple of hours, or a month, or 6 months, or whatever,
Yeah.
correct?
Yep, that's right. You're right. And this is actually a learning thing for both the corporate as well as individuals. They're, everybody's trying to adjust to the new norm. And we don't know what the norm is, but it keeps changing every day, every week. And folks, so folks are trying to see where they should be going to work because they go into their offices and they're all empty. It's all open space, empty space, and no colleagues, no individuals, nothing to speak to, or even some kind of interaction and all that stuff. And also for corporates to be maintaining that huge amount of spaces, as it's an enormous burden, as well as now they have to keep track of their individual workforce and all that stuff. So they're scattered all over the place. And remote work has almost come out to be the new norm. That's what, and if not completely remote, it's hybrid work that people are looking to do. At least go in 1 or 2 days to the office, and I think this, what I'm doing has come as a boon for both the corporates as well as individuals, because they can come in, they can work for an hour, for a day, they can take up an office for a month, for a year, for 6 months. Corporates can take up space. They can take up one office space. They can take up 5 office spaces or 20 office spaces, and the next day they can even reduce back to 10 office spaces. So the flexibility that they have gives them, I would say, a lot of confidence in their day-to-day business process.
I agree with wholeheartedly with that. Plus, you have that beautiful common area out there, where everybody can collaborate in that common area. Okay, the technology in this building is second to none. We're sitting here right now in this podcast studio that you installed. So anybody that wants to, do a podcast for their business has the ability to use all this beautiful equipment that's right here.
That's right.
So there's another revenue stream for them for their business. Okay, and podcasting is excellent for search engine optimization, as
Right.
I'm in the digital space. Okay, and another thing that you offer here that you didn't mention, Mahinder, is you offer office locations, okay, for businesses alike. So if you want to open up a location in Parsippany, you can give them a suite, okay, and they can open up a Google My Business page for that Google will accept, so they can grow their business as well.
That's right. You're right, Bruce. I'm glad you brought this up because we try to provide all kinds of amenities that are really beneficial, of value to our customers, apart from the memberships that they take up for their day-to-day office. We have meeting rooms, all sizes. We have event space, like the space up front, could be used for your corporate events, for your and we have larger spaces where you can do your training rooms. And then the podcast studio, of course, you could use that as well. And apart from that, within the building, we have a gym and with showers and everything, and a nice, what do you say, a golf simulator.
Oh, I saw that. Let me tell you,
Yeah.
if anybody knows anything about golf, they know how valuable that simulator is.
That's right. Yeah, and I'm not a golfer or anything of that sort, but I think I'm getting into it right now. So I go there once in a while, I hit some shots and all. So it helps me, and everything that's here gives your team building capabilities. It's and you have the backyard where you could have all kinds of things for your team. They could work out, sit out there and do their work as well, or you could just have a lunch. And there's a cafeteria, a very nice cafeteria within the building too, that provides all kinds of different kinds of food and everything. So it's.
I was amazed. I actually, yes, I was amazed at the food. The quality of the food is outstanding.
Yep.
Outstanding.
Thank you, Bruce. Yeah.
No, it's good. Well, look, Mahinder, I think that people really need to come down here and visit this facility. Why don't you tell them, the location, the address, and the email, how they can get in touch with you right now, so that anyone who's listening to this can come down and visit and see how exciting this is.
Yep. Thank you, Bruce. So we are located, our address is 8 Campus Drive, Parsippany, Suite 105, Parsippany, New Jersey, 07054. And you can walk in anytime. We are here Monday through Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. You could have your address here. You could receive mail here. You could have your meeting here. You don't have to be a member to book all these amenities. And we are very easily accessible. We are on the very first floor of the building, and there's a huge parking lot. You have ample parking. So, yep, that's what we are, easily accessible and all kinds of amenities.
Well, Mahinder, I want to thank you very much, number one, for this beautiful facility, and number two, for this beautiful podcast room that's going to help NLX members, the Network Lead Exchange members, collaborate and to conduct a lot of business. So I want to thank you very much.
Thank you, Bruce. I really appreciate what you bring to Network Lead Exchange, to my business, to everything. You're a great person. I really appreciate your friendship and camaraderie and everything that you do. And all this was enabled because of the Venture X. And
Yeah,
so we were able to meet, we were able to do all these things. And I think this is something will happen to anyone and everyone that comes into the space and build relationships. So
agreed. Well, I want to thank you. And again, this is NLX Network Lead Exchange, the Extra Mile podcast. So I want to let everyone know to subscribe and watch the new and exciting episodes to come. All right.
Sure.
Thank you, Vander.
Thank you, Bruce.